So, Worlds literally just started. T1 proved that they are T1, and I can just casually enjoy some esports, right? I can just enjoy it without caring about drama whatsoever. So, why is there all this drama that I have to learn about? So yes, some of you may know that I only follow League's esports very casually. I know that LEC had some issues with formatting. I know that LCS rebranded and then they rebranded back after realizing it was a big mistake. And now I had to learn about the Bwipo situation, which is quite sad for a reason that people aren't really talking about. So long story short, for nobody, because everyone knows about this, Bwipo, a FlyQuest player from NA, said some really inappropriate things. And as a result, he was removed from this year's World's Anthem. The reason that was given to us publicly was that Bwipo was supposed to be a bigger part of this cinematic. And so Riot decided to delay the cinematic by 3 days, which apparently was enough to get him out, which started a whole new game on the internet. A game called Find the Bwipo Cut. Have you ever wondered where he could have been in the cinematic? Well, have some fun and enjoy finding inconsistencies in the new Anthem. Or at least, that's what the internet immediately jumped on. And I guess we'll talk about that one in a bit too. But first, we have to talk about the Anthem itself. Starting with purely the audio. I'm not gonna play it in this video for copyright reasons, we got burned by this in the past, but for the majority of the people who were vocal about this anthem, it became very apparent that this song doesn't really feel like a world's anthem. There are a lot of people who really like the song, and on their tier list of anthems it is in the S tier, which again is fine, music is subjective. I mean, it makes sense. If I had to rank the anthems on a tier list and Tahm Kench's theme was in the middle of it, it would be an S rank too. And that is the point. This song is good. There is nothing bad about it. But it simply doesn't feel like a world's anthem. Which is something that for many of you gave you flashbacks of Star Walking, where Lil Nas X made an anthem which a lot of people criticized, me included. And that is not because the song would be bad, it is quite good. But it's because it missed the mark on what a world's anthem really is. It is a piece that kickstarts hype around esports. It is supposed to get your blood pumping. It is supposed to make you join a crowd with similar interest. This is why both Warriors and Rise became legendary anthems. And in my opinion, Heavy is the Crown is on the same level. And that is because, again, music is subjective and I really like the trashy style of rock. So the music genre simply lined up for me. The same reason why some people put Sacrifice into an S tier. But that brings us to the main issue that Sacrifice has. While this song is great thematically, it fits the vibe of the Worlds, specifically with the song pointing at the sacrifice of the players towards the teams as well as the regions. But with the pacing, it's not exactly there. For a hypey world song, while Jem's voice is beautiful, it is also heavily drawn out. And if anything, instead of getting you pumped up, it makes you feel somber or even inspired. And that is where a twist is introduced. Because throughout this entire video, you can see it all works as one big compilation of the League esports history. And so, what if that was the goal? What if it wasn't supposed to be a hype piece, but an inspiration piece? What if the song was supposed to be a tribute? Because if you then go through the visual side of this anthem, that's what people got out of it. But even there are some things that people are pointing out. And so now, let's quickly go through the video. Once again, as many of you may know, I don't know that much about esports. And so from what I've been told, there are a lot of Easter eggs focusing on esports around, from referencing some 1v5 fights, to referencing the NA to airport speedrun. And in fact, this is one of the big critiques the video got. Not the Easter eggs, it's the fights. Because sometimes the fights don't really fit the song. And as some people pointed out, the entire anthem feels like it was made by two totally separate studios. One that made the music and one that made the video, and then they tried to line them up. Although, at the very end, the vibe gets perfectly aligned. because this all ends with a lot of wholesome references to League's history, and it also includes Shushay at the very end, which was perhaps the most impactful shot for me in this entire cinematic, because it came out of nowhere and it really made people feel it. And that is because, in case you missed it, Shushay was the legendary Gragas mid laner who played for Fnatic and won the first Worlds back in the day at Gamescom. But unfortunately he died this year after a battle with cancer. And so this entire anthem served as a great memory for his tribute towards League of Legends. And what lifts this up even more, he is holding the original Summoner's Cup, which is the design that Riot went back to this year. And so if you take all of that into consideration, well, now the song makes perfect sense. Now it totally feels like the esports tribute about sacrifice. And now it also totally makes sense why Bwipo was cut out. Because if you put in the effort and you wanna turn this anthem into a memory of someone who had died, well, the last thing you want to have on top of that is drama. And in that regard, this actually worked out for Riot. Because if you go to the comment section of the YouTube video, you can see the vast majority of players talking about Shushay. But unfortunately, if you look anywhere else, things are getting out of control. First of all, people pointed out that while Bwipo was removed, Perks was left in. Now again, I have no idea what these kinds of dramas are about, and I don't want to learn about it. But more importantly, a lot of people pointed out one funny part. You see, Caps takes on the majority of the screen time, which happened to be connected to another thing. Apparently, on Bilibili, people call this anthem a trailer for the next Hall of Legends. But I suspect there is a big reason why this happened. I don't think any of this is happening because of Hall of Legends. Instead, why don't we finally try to play the game Find the Bwipo Cut? So while going through the video, I noticed some masterfully hidden shots that get ever so slightly inconsistent. You see, in order to edit out someone in 3 days, you have to be confident in your ability to overwrite the footage where that person is. In other words, if you have the environment ready, you can just move the camera and render out a whole new shot to cover it. But because the video is supposed to be lined up with the beats of the music, you can't just edit something out and just slap everything back together. You have to replace most of the footage, or at least move them within those beats. And if you pay attention to the structure of this video, you can see where some of the shots get interesting. For example, at the very beginning, you have an introduction for 5 regions. You have the first region introduced, after which there is a hard cut to the second one, but then the second one extremely smoothly transitions into the third one, and the third one smoothly transitions into the fourth one, with the fifth one being gone. Well, now, if you pay attention to how all of this is structured, it is obvious that there was supposed to be a 5th region in the hard cut, turning the hard cut into a smooth transition for all 5 regions. And after all of these regions go into battle, there is one random environmental shot where it looks like Chonk is lurking in the background, but it is possible that this is not the filler shot. Instead, while everyone else is getting these environmental shots from a distance, Caps gets a second introduction shot. I wonder if there was supposed to be someone else getting an environmental shot instead, which also indirectly resulted in Caps simply getting more screen time. This is likely why he is in this anthem so much. It is possible the studio had Caps ready for all kinds of different shots, and so they used him to cover up the footage. And you can see that these patterns appear throughout the entire video. There is also the fighting scene where Caps takes on an entire team. While he's playing Sylas, he tanks an Ashe ult and then he breaks a Nidalee spear. But after that, since he is Sylas, he throws the Ashe ult back. It lands, after which there is a cut. Now it is likely that this cut was supposed to go to another scene, but instead it goes immediately back to Caps, who is now in full momentum, which doesn't really line up with what exactly just happened. So, it is just a theory, but it definitely looks like that fight was supposed to be split into 2 halves. Someone else was likely supposed to appear in the middle. And then there is the last scene where it is obvious that there was supposed to be someone there. This is during one of the last scenes where everyone is ascending to godhood. And here you can see one character ascending, 2 characters ascending, 3 characters ascending, 4 characters ascending, and a shoe. And if it's anyone's shoe, I bet it belongs to Caps. But that's pretty much all I can mention about this Anthem. And so now, it is time to do the one thing that every streamer does. Welcome back everyone to our yearly high quality content where we do a tier list on the world anthems. Every year people love watching these despite my music taste never changing and me doing the same thing. And this year we got Sacrifice. Now let me tell you, I have no idea what Riot was cooking with this one. It does not make me hyped at all. Yuck! But Tahm Kench is peak.